Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome back to another edition of 10 Count. I'm Steve Fall, but today she has survived the Voodoo Queen Casket match at Hard Time. Natalia Markova, how are you doing today?
Hi. Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing well, but are you okay? You survived at
Oh,
Hard Times.
I survived everything. Yeah, I
That's
did.
that's true. That's true. You were robbed once as well. We'll talk about that in a little while. But your opponent at Hard Times, Maxie Impaler. Now, she's been trending all over Twitter recently because of something that happened on SmackDown recently, which is very interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So, Sarah Logan, someone who was released by the WWE, has returned now, but alongside her husband, the Viking Raiders, one half of the Viking Raiders, they are now on SmackDown. But she had a very similar look to Max. Now, everyone was obviously like, oh, that's a ripoff of Max. Sarah Logan is stealing. But then people started trying to do research and was like, well, Vikings, and there's a Viking video game. Like, what's your thoughts on that? Like, was it a complete ripoff?
I mean, honestly, I think it is a repoff, and because I know for a fact that Sarah knows Max, and I think it's again like, going to back to this disrespect thing that you can do something similar. There are different versions. You could do this gimmick. You can do this type of personality. But I think that she just saw that was successful, and she was like, "All right, I want a bigger company and I can do whatever I want." I think people just feel like they can do whatever they want if they're in WWE. Which honestly, again, if it would be 50 years ago, when there's no internet, you can get away with that, right?
Right.
But now everybody knows everything. Like you go on Twitter and you can see Max. Even if you don't know who Max is, we're still in the same business. And I think you need to respect each other. And just out of respect, you could maybe use different colors or different pattern. It was just totally similar look. And to me, it feels like a disrespectful ripoff. I think it shouldn't be happening in wrestling.
Right. Because like 80,
Plus, I love Max. I think she's
oh yeah.
awesome, right? So please, please respect her career. She's independent wrestler at this point. It's hard for her to do what she does. You know, she's not signed to a huge amount of money, and she makes money out of it. So please, wrestlers, be respectful to each other.
Yes, I've tried to interview her before, and I was informed that the last time she did an interview, she actually stole the anchor, the reporter who was talking to her. So I was like, okay, I'm good. I don't want to be stolen. I don't want to be captured. I don't want to be hurt. But yet it is interesting because like 80%, we'll go with Twitter as the real world right now. 80% are like, you stole this from Max. The other 20% are like, well, there was a video game that came out right before Max started transitioning into this new look that has the same makeup, the same dreads, the same look. And it's like, just because one's inspired by the other, maybe it looks like they're being stolen, but I have no idea. Like, I'm just throwing out scenarios that I'm seeing on Twitter that people are believing, like, oh, well, she stole from Max. Sarah Logan did, that is. Or did Max borrow from a video game? Or like, there's so many scenarios here, but like the majority, like 80%, 90% are like, you stole from Max. Now, you brought up independent wrestler. That's kind of the problem here is a lot of people are defending Max because of this situation. Sarah Logan obviously is making more money than Max.
Yeah.
But and I think
Plus,
somebody pointed out that her dreads were actually done by Max's dread person, like her hair.
exactly. That's what I'm talking about. It's not like somebody extremely unknown and she's like, okay, it's just a coincidence. I stole it from the video game. And then it just, somehow Max did the same. No, same hairdresser. They all knew what's going on. They all knew Max. Plus, again, don't forget that Max is not just a known independent wrestler. She's a
Right.
well-known independent wrestler.
Yes.
She's WA, she's in Japan, Impact, everywhere. So fact that she's not signed to huge money doesn't mean she's not popular. She is popular, and
Right.
everybody knows. And she did it before, way before. So even if Logan's character was inspired by the video game, still doesn't cancel the fact that she knew what she's doing. She knew there is already a person doing the same thing,
Yep.
you know.
No, I
Plus,
agree.
if they would do kind of like appear the same day, then yeah, okay, they were both inspired. They were both showed up like that, and like, oh, you know how you go to the party and you both wear the same dress, like both. But she knew, and she clearly didn't care. So I don't think it's good.
Yeah, that it's not a good look. Obviously, it's probably not going to affect Sarah Logan and the Viking Raiders at all, but it definitely affects the audience realizing that you're like, for instance, let's go back to the first time I interviewed you. We'll go back months and months ago where Carmella was just stealing your catchphrase.
Plus, again, I want to just say one little thing. I never met Sarah Logan. I don't know what kind of person she is. Maybe she's amazing, and maybe she will see that and she'll be like, actually, you know what? Let's change that. Let's go to something different, you know?
Right.
But I never met her, so I can't really judge her type of personality based on that. But this certain thing that she did, I think it's wrong.
There was one comparison I did see as well that Max is from the like Logan's Run movies, and then you have Viking Raiders, who's inspired by Vikings. So obviously you have people are trying to split hairs, people are trying to find ways to like turn it to advantage them and how they feel that the situation really is. But what the internet really believes is Max had her gimmick completely stolen underneath her, and we'll see what happens next with her, because again, it just seems why do that? If you're gonna be a Viking, just be a Viking. Like, you can wear makeup, you can have dreads, you can do all that good stuff, but if you put them together, someone might be like, wait, are they related? Are they a tag team? And so
Yeah, there was like a tag team.
and that's what that's what it looks like to me, a little bit. Again, I'm just going by what Twitter says, and I'm very happy I got to talk to you today about this, because that was a big subject last week, Friday, and everyone was like pissed off and very angry. And again, Max has been working her butt off, and it's sad that when things like this happen, it's like, well, big corporation. Max,
Yeah.
not saying she's down here, but like you have the WWE, who be like the NFL, be like, oh, we saw something really cool at like a high school game. We're just gonna steal that.
That's how it feels. Hopefully, it's not what actually happened, and they
Right.
will change it up.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, hard times though was recently, and your performance in Max, I loved it so much. But there was like so much going around that pay-per-view before heading in, because I interviewed Billy Corgan and I interviewed Trevor Murdoch heading into that pay-per-view, and they had some things to say about women's wrestling, and it wasn't a negative thing, but really people took it as a negative thing. Now, I don't know if you are aware of what they were saying. They pretty much were saying like, we can't have another NWA Empowerrr yet, because they feel like they don't have enough. Not they don't have it. They don't have enough pay-per-view quality women to put on a pay-per-view like this. Now, do you feel like NWA has a strong women's division?
Yeah, I think NWA has a really strong women's division. I'm happy to be part of it. I think that Billy Corgan respects women so much. He takes care of them, and he really wants to show a great product. And like I said, I'm happy to be part of that product. Like, we had really good women's matches on this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Another one, and I mean, I think it was awesome. I enjoyed it a lot.
So do you think there's going to be another Empowerrr? It's just when the timing is right versus just forcing it down people's throats?
I think so. I mean, I obviously don't know plans, but I know how Billy is about women's wrestling. So I think based on what he says and what he thinks, there will be another one. It's just probably a matter of money, and don't forget that it costs a lot of money to do something like Empowerrr. It's a huge, huge, huge event. And I got to give him credit, because I know that before, Mickey James, I think, was trying to do that Empowerrr with other promotions and with other people. It never worked out. And Billy was the one who actually put his own money to make it happen. So I think that's a big deal. And I think that, yeah, it's probably just a matter of time. When the time is right and money is there, they will make another one.
Right, because the story that broke before Hard Times as well was Nick Aldis leaving NWA, then he was suspended and he quit, and he's gone on a few different interviews talking about his experience there. And for a long time, he was Mr. NWA, and now without him, he's come out and he said a few things saying like, oh, well, one of the reasons I left was the treatment of Mickey James, his wife, by Billy Corgan. And I was kind of like, didn't you guys work together on this Empowerrr pay-per-view? Like, I'm not Billy, I'm not Mickey, I'm not Nick, so I have no idea what they said to each other behind closed doors. But from the perception of what you saw, did you see any like feelings or hurt feelings between the parties involved?
No, I think it's just classic wrestling. People, classic business, even not just wrestling. Um, People not always find the same like ideas and thoughts of what they gotta do and how things gotta go. So I think it's just that. because obviously, like I said, based on my experience, Billy's never any kind of disrespectful
Right.
or any of that. Billy is a great guy. He loves women's wrestling. He always gives us opportunities. We always have our spots. So again, based on what I know and when I talk in promotion, everybody is happy and nobody feels disrespected. But I also understand there can be disagreements with people, which is again nobody's fault. It's not Nick's fault. It's not Billy's fault. It's just they went different routes. It happens. I just hope that Billy will keep doing his thing and Nick will go where he feels appreciated and happy. That's that. It's just it doesn't have to be drama. It's just
Right.
what it is. People went their own ways. That's it.
Yeah, unfortunately, drama came out of all that because when Nick Aldis said he was leaving, and then Billy suspended him, and then Nick went on Sam Roberts' show and pretty much just dropped a bomb on everybody. And I was surprised because, I guess it's like a divorce. You were happy in the marriage while you were in the marriage. And once
Exactly.
you get divorced, you're like, I'm gonna let loose every feeling I ever felt about how angry I was, even though we were in love with each other as well. And I guess it happens really in any business, any sports, movies, a director and an actor disagree, and then they're fine, and they go out and they tell everyone, I hated that person the whole time I made that. But it was a little sad. It was a little sad because Nick Aldis was, in my book, Mr. NWA, and now in your opinion, who could be Mr. NWA? Is it Tyrus? Because I know his affiliation with Fox pisses off a lot of wrestling fans, but at the same time, those wrestling fans don't realize it's a business decision. He was on last night, Tyrus, as we're talking about this, was on the #1 cable program with the NWA championship. Like, that's free ad space. People don't realize that? Like, do you think politics and wrestling are spilling into each other by accident?
I mean, I'm not in a position to book the champion and to pick who should be at the top of the company. So I trust on that. I think you should be choosing that. Free advertisement is good. I think you still gotta pick the person who is the best for the company, who is best to represent the company. And again, I'm not the one who say who that person should be. Maybe it should be Tyrus, maybe it should be somebody. I'm the wrestler. So my job is to do my job, to wrestle and do my best to represent the company the way I can represent the company. So hopefully one day I'll make it to the top and I'll be the one who will be like, hey, I'm the face on NWA. I'm close to that. I mean, in a way, I am face on NWA. So I think as a wrestler, I'll just be doing my job and do my best in the ring.
Of course. It's just, I know people just are now, oh, it's interesting that someone would say, oh, well, your political affiliation as a real person somehow affects my opinion of you as a wrestler. Like, they're not the same thing. They're,
Uh,
the character
um,
you play is not the person you are in real life. Maybe there's a version of you ramped up 1,000 and that's but it's not the same thing. Like, do you feel like that's a problem where people don't realize that it's a TV show?
that's not a problem. I think fans have the right to have their opinion, and it doesn't really matter what it's based on. If they feel like they don't like somebody because of politics, I guess that's their choice. Again, our
Right.
job is entertainment to do what we do in the ring, and then fans choose what to watch and what not to watch. Our job is to do our best to make them excited and interested. But if something stops them from being interested, there's nothing we can do about it. I'm not mad at fans who have their opinions. That's okay. That's the beauty of nowadays wrestling, that people just can go on Twitter and say their opinions. That's okay. I don't see anything wrong about it. And again, maybe companies should look at it and pay attention and does not necessarily change what they do based on those opinions, but at least look at those and maybe take it in some kind of consideration.
True, true. I guess we'll have to see what happens next with Matt Cardona and Tyrus and Trevor Murdoch in the main event scene in NWA. But let's move on though. There was a story about you. We got to go back a few months now. It feels like even like a year now, where the New York Post did a story about you, about a thief. Your purse was stolen, but yet you used your sleuthing skills to figure out where this person was. Share the story with us.
Yeah, that was a crazy story. Really amazing. It was all over news everywhere. Speaking of publicity for the company, because again, it was all over like NWA wrestlers. It was me and Brian Idol, whose name is Mercurio in NWA. We were coming back actually from NWA tapings, and we didn't know back then, but when I left the plane, I realized I don't have a purse on me, and we realized some guy stole it when I was on the plane. I was all beat up, of course, so I didn't really notice anything. And then I had my AirPods in the purse, and we tracked the guy. It was like 1 hour process almost. We were tracking him from the airport first to the gas station, then somewhere else, a little shop, and then we ended up in Walmart. And as soon as we were walking in Walmart, the guy was at the register trying to buy a 700 TV with my credit card. But of course, I don't know, it's probably stupid that he couldn't realize there was a fraud alert on my phone because of that. You're gonna just buy 700 worth of stuff with a credit card. So he was trying to use all different cards. And Brian came to him and he was like, hey, I think this is not your credit card. So the guy pushed Brian in the face and started running. And Brian followed him and tackled him like a real like football sack, basically. All cards flew. It was actually a cool thing to see. We had like a better footage. There is footage. If you guys search it in Google, you can see that. So yeah, basically a happy end. The guy gave everything back. He was too sorry, and that was cool. You know, it's good to see that wrestlers are actual athletes. For Brian, it was like 1 second to chase the guy and tackle him down and hold him. He was holding him there. I kind of helped too. I was holding his arm all the way till cops came, and it took like 10 minutes before they came. So that was a fun story and a good story, you know, like wrestlers, heroes. Again, I like representing wrestling in a good way. I like people to see that wrestlers are actually good people, athletic people, and they're good examples for generations to see, you know, what kind of person you gotta be.
Of course, that's amazing. I think it's crazy. It's like a tackle and all everything goes in the air, slow motion. But that 10 minutes must have felt like forever because you're trying to hold this guy down. Obviously, he's trying to get away. So for 10 minutes, you have to bear hug someone on the ground, be like, "You're not going anywhere, dude. You're not going anywhere." That's
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Florida law totally lets you protect yourself when somebody commits a crime, and fraud is a crime. So that was okay on the law side. But there were people there. Oh, he's like in trouble. You're choking him, but nobody was choking him. So Brian kind of let go of him for a second, kind of like, you see, I'm not doing anything. The guy started punching him in the face again.
Oh my.
They were like, all right, keep holding.
Yeah, I'm gonna choke you again, buddy, for doing what you're doing. That's great. That's
him. It was so easy that it's almost like playing with a little puppy, you know.
That's true. That's a little scary as well. That's why you don't mess with NWA wrestlers. But let's move on though, because you also you still have your wrestling school, right, in Tampa?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
there's a school in the Tampa Bay area in Largo. So if somebody wants to be a wrestler, guys, hit me up. Our school is actually doing really well now. Everybody's joining. We have a lot of new students. A lot of our students actually made it somewhere, but I don't want to name names for now because I want them to get a little bigger. But the thing about our school, which is good, that we teach really good basics. Our school is more like an old school type with modern flow. So we do basic psychology, really good basics, thinking about what to do, how to sell. We don't do like flip around spots fast like a lot of schools do. I'm not trying to say bad stuff about other schools, but they exist, obviously, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Our school is really old school. Plus, don't forget that I was all over the world, so I know different styles. I trained in Japan a lot. Then I was in Europe, so I know different styles and how to mix those to make it work. Plus, both me and Brian, we've been all over the world, different countries. In NWA, I was in AEW and WWE Network. So clearly we know what we're doing. So if you guys live in this Tampa Bay area and you want to be a wrestler or a referee or an announcer, a valet, whatever you want to be in wrestling, make sure to check it out. It's Fight the World Wrestling Academy.
Perfect. Well, there we go. Natalia Markova, thank you so much for being here on 10 Count and sharing your thoughts on this Max Sarah Logan mystery. Did she steal it? Did she not steal it? We'll let the people decide, or the judges. We'll have to see how that works out for everybody. But thank you so much for being here on 10 Count. I've been Steve Fall. She's been Natalia Markova. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.